I never can tell if this is live anymore. I wish it'd give me a thing where it goes ding like it used to, but I assume we're live because it says so. So, welcome, everybody. It's Polygon Issuance number 102. And look, Matt is here, and he's cooking and grilling probably. And if he is...
Just finishing dinner, actually.
See, he's cooking, so it's close enough. I thought he was outside grilling, and he's in his kitchen cooking. So I'm close enough. Because if he isn't cooking in the house, he's cooking outside the house.
It's what we do.
Yeah, it's called it. This is the cooking portion of the broadcast.
No, this is called the supportive husband portion of the broadcast.
Yeah, meaning he's cooking for his wife, and then he starves.
Hey, somebody's got to eat.
Anyway, so, well, speaking of that, because I got home probably about half an hour ago, so I was down in Coralville. I took my niece down there, well, with my mother. So I took her and I went, and of course, for some that would know about what's been going on with me, I injured my toe on Monday, and I can barely walk with it. And I went and I walked Coral Ridge Mall on a Saturday.
Oh, you brave soul.
Oh, yes, especially with a big toe contusion, aka a sprained toe that won't bend unless I'm going to be in complete agony. Anywho, so I had to do that today, and it was cold, and trying to walk from the car inside someplace was not fun today. So, and
we're just a bunch of broken people on this show, aren't we?
Everything bad is happening, so
I can add something else to that.
Yeah, what happened?
This is another work-related injury.
Oh, great.
A sledgehammer and I got into a fight, and my right index finger lost.
Uh-oh. Wah, wah.
Yep. Hashtag epic fail. And yes, I just used hashtag.
Well, yeah. Well, this one, this is supposed to be a weather show, but it's turning into the medical report and food report. But anyway, and speaking of, if we want to keep going medically, I'm having my EMG study on Thursday. That's going to be fun. Having
cool.
Needles put in my arm and have electricity move through them. Yay!
It's not that bad, because trust me, it's not like being tased.
Yeah, I haven't had the godsend of having that because I'm not a crazy person. Anyway.
Did you know that in order to own a taser, to legally own a taser, you have to be tased yourself?
By somebody. You can't tase yourself.
Right. You have to take a taser orientation class, they call it.
Yeah.
Or TOT for short. And part of that at the very end is they tase you. And you can do it one of two ways. You can do the darts, where they take the actual gun and they shoot you with the darts. And then, you have two people hold you, and, you actually kind of recreate a scenario where you would need to use one, you being the perpetrator. And they shoot you, or they take an already fired taser gun, take alligator clips, hook you and another person up to the taser with your clothes, and shock you that way.
Okay, I don't like any of those ideas. But anyway.
That is the worst 5 seconds of my life.
Yes, yay, not fun. Anyway, back to weather, or something related to it. It was cold today. It's been crappy. Oh, and before we get to the topic, which is unfortunately a sad topic, but anyway.
Yes.
This is past week. Remember last week we were complaining or something or whatever. People would probably forget. Last Sunday here in Iowa, it was in the 80s. on Sunday.
Yes. Broke a record high here in Cedar Rapids.
Yes, that's nice. Yesterday, I'm in Maquoketa, eating at Flapjacks in Maquoketa.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm sure you've been there too.
Yes, sir. Long
Anyway,
time, but it's a very good
we
place.
were there. So my mother and I, because we had to go up to get my niece up in Bellevue. We look out the door, or out the thing. Visibility is down to about 1/8 of a mile in heavy snow. Yesterday. The ground starts turning white. Everything is turning white. And I'm going, oh my goodness. It did it twice while we were eating. We had a snow squall, then the sun came out. Then we had another snow squall. It's like, oh my gosh. And you could see these snow squalls coming from miles away. It would be like a big dark thunderstorm coming right at you. You could see like low-hanging scud. It almost looked like a wall cloud. Yeah, I could see features that were so scary and frightening.
But we're utterly, what's the word I'm looking for? Harmless.
Well, the minute the snow squall got to you, the wind picked up, blew at least 30 to 40 miles per hour, and snow was going in sideways. And it was funny. When we were driving up to Bellevue from Maquoketa, we ran into another snow squall. You could see it coming. You could see the snow flying ahead of you, but you weren't getting it where you were. But you could see it coming directly at you. It would start as sleet, change to snow, and then end as sleet, and then it would end. Does that make sense? It goes
Not at all to me.
nothing to sleet to snow to sleet, and then it goes away.
And then sunshine.
And then the sun comes back out. It was totally just goofy. I thought, good grief. It did it at least several times going back home from Bellevue.
There was somebody that tweeted out a picture or a radar loop of what was causing all those snow squalls. It was a vortex over east central Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
it looked like a little mini hurricane. I mean, it was pretty tightly wound, which I'm assuming only added to the availability of convection.
Convection. I didn't hear any thunder or see any lightning, but you probably could have had that. I know further east they had some thunder and lightning, but it wasn't around here.
Yeah, they probably had a little bit colder temperatures aloft.
Yeah.
That's probably what caused that.
The minute when you have cold air aloft and you have sunshine, you're going to billow up clouds quick, and it's going to dump sleet or snow. Even when the temperature was like 38 degrees yesterday, and it was snowing enough that it was actually starting to stick. Of course, the minute the sun came out, it melted. The ground is still warm enough that most of the snow is going to melt, but it was coming down so quickly. Everything was turning white. It was just completely strange.
Yes, it was.
And this was on Friday, yesterday. 5 days after it was 81 in Cedar Rapids. So we had record highs, blizzards, and wind and cold and warmth. So, but we didn't have much of anything else. So that was the weekend review, I guess.
I'll tell you what, outside of those snow bands yesterday, it was ungodly windy. Because I was down in Iowa City working. And this is the day after the sledgehammer incident. I was doing sealing, so I wasn't really able to look up very much because I was focused on my job, which was looking down. But I know that it was sunny most of the day, cloudy part of the day, and I didn't really notice the wind that much, but when I got home, it felt like the wind had just beat the crap out of me. I was absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened to me in quite a while. Usually I'm okay in wind, but this was something different. I must have just been layered up so much where I didn't notice a whole lot, but I was really, really, really tired after work yesterday.
Yeah, so you're lucky we didn't do Polygon yesterday.
I would have fallen asleep mid-show.
Yeah, that tells me how he likes our show. Or the show. He's like,
Yeah.
right in the middle. I think half the people would fall asleep during the show. Anyway.
This is a guy that who has, when he's really tired, I have fallen asleep while in the passenger seat on a storm chase, while on a storm.
Yeah, that's bad.
You forget, I'm a veteran. I learned how to sleep anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. Given that he has to be in war-torn areas, that there's bombs going off everywhere, and he goes to sleep.
Yep. I've learned how to sleep in between the axles of 6-wheel drive vehicles. It's actually fairly comfortable. You put your head on top of one tire, and then you put your legs on top of the rear tire, and it's pretty comfortable. It's kind of like a really hard hammock.
Okay, that's strange.
I could hear the eye roll in your voice.
I just no. Anyway, so
I'm trying to be upbeat, considering that the topic of tonight's show is so very depressing, but yet so necessary.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but outside of that, we can be uplifting. There was no bad weather this week.
Yes, correct.
Well, outside of some isolated events, but nothing serious. Nothing. There was a lot of snow in New England, and the Great Lakes had more snow. It's April, for gosh sakes. Get rid of this white stuff. I want spring. Oh wait, that was Sunday. That's only spring we get. Now we have to go back to winter for another week.
And then all of a sudden it'll be 95 and humid as all get out, and the death ritual is set up.
I don't like that. That's what I think about that. I don't want 95 and humid. If it's gonna be 95 and humid, I want thunderstorms.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we are getting to the point we're kind of needing some rain because it's been so windy. I mean, the last 6 weeks has been wind. And when we have lots of wind, that dries everything out quick. So we're going to need some rain, quick, or we're going to be in trouble.
Very nice. Very well executed.
So I'm hoping we're going to get some precipitation, as long as it's not that white stuff again. But going back to, I'm going to have to go back to this again. That snow and stuff yesterday, snow and sleet, was so bad that the roadways were completely, it felt like it had downpoured. You know how if it rains like really hard in a downpour, everything there's water everywhere.
It kind of slicks up a little bit.
Well, luckily enough, I was thinking, oh great, the roads are going to be an icy mess. They weren't, thank goodness. But the roads it just felt like it had just downpoured of rain when we were going through Macokota to go up to Bellevue after the snow squalls had moved away. It felt like it looked like by the roads that it had downpoured, but it had snowed.
Right.
So
very strange.
You could see in the restaurant at Flapjacks, or as I call it, Flappies, the people were just looking outside and just shaking their head in disdain, like they didn't like what was going on. They're like, this is not acceptable. Well, it is. There was people that actually looked like that they were like shaking their head in disdain or something, like, this is not acceptable. Okay. And I'm thinking, just hope they didn't go to the Weather Network website where they found out that I forecasted we weren't supposed to have snow yesterday.
You just called yourself out. Good job.
And I did. I had it all in Wisconsin and in Illinois yesterday. I predicted partly sunny. Well, I was partly right. There was some partly sunny, but then there was partly snowy and partly sleety. Yeah. So I was partly right and partly not. So partly I was partly not great. I was partly great, but partly not. because it was partly sunny and partly not that. Anyway, we're done with the partlies because I had to mention that, and I don't want to get off tangent. But now we have to go to the sad portion of the broadcast, or as we call it. Before we get to that, is there any other news that happened? People getting fired, people doing something? Because I don't know what else has happened.
I haven't heard of anything significant.
Oh, I did see that evidently. I just saw this like half an hour ago when I got on the internet that Reed Timmer painted something. Thinking, okay, whatever. And he's
Reed Timmer, extreme storm chaser and extreme weather artist.
Yeah, it's on his Twitter feed. He painted a tornado with rings or something. I don't know what the heck he's doing. It's some abstract thing. He said, "I'm Bob Ross." I'm like, no, you're not. Bob Ross made happy clouds, not disasters. Correct. But I always, okay, we have to get off because I'm going off on a tangent again because we kind of went off on this. Every time I watch Joy of Painting, because of course Bob Ross, he's no longer with us. He's been passed away for 20 plus years. He's like, oh, we got a little happy little clouds. Any weather person or storm chaser mean happy clouds would mean twisters, wedge tornadoes. You would have like a wedge tornado in your painting, and it's your place and your happy place, right? You wouldn't be doing little nice happy clouds. You'd be nasty little thunderstorms with
well,
tornadoes.
Not exactly. Because you could have those nice, happy little clouds right before the convective inhibition erodes, and you have those cumulus streaks, those cumulus fields, and those are happy little clouds. And on high-risk days, storm chasers are happy to see Q fields. So those could be happy little clouds no matter what.
Especially if the fields look kind of erratic. I've noticed that on days when there's going to be really bad, severe weather, that the cumulus fields tend to be somewhat erratic. I mean, there's cumulus clouds, but they seemingly look different than normal, typical fair weather days.
Yeah, they're rolling a lot more. They look tilted a lot more.
Yeah,
they look, as one famous sports announcer would say, they look slightly askew.
Yeah.
Well, somewhat famous. He's famous here in the Midwest. He was born in Iowa, lives in Omaha.
Yeah.
And his daughter is an absolute beast in college softball.
Yeah. So,
if anybody hasn't caught the reference, that is Fox Sports 1 announcer Dave Reef.
Yeah.
Former ESPN drag racing announcer.
Yeah. So
that's anyway. That. Now to the subject at hand.
Yeah, before we get off tangent again. And now we got to get into our sad and kind of depressing attitude and tone. That, unfortunately, I don't know how we want to work around this, because this is kind of not a... It's kind of sad, and it's not the first time that meteorologists have had to deal with this. I'm kind of sad to say it may not be the last time we deal with it, especially if stuff doesn't get fixed sooner or later. That, unfortunately, and we may get to what Eric Sorensen wrote.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up in the extraneous news thing, was that he wrote a very, very good piece.
Yeah, and I have it I have it here.
Cool.
Well, I have it. I mean, I could screen square. I'll get it out.
Screen share.
Screen share it. Good grief. Am I just completely out of it today? So.
Do I sound okay, by the way?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, good. I'm testing out the microphone on my phone right now.
Yeah.
On speaker. And I just want to make sure that it was okay. But anyways, go ahead.
He'll get cut off in about 20 minutes. But anyway,
yep.
So here's what we're going to talk about, because Eric Sorensen posted this on the 7th, which would be Thursday. morning. So, and I'm not sure if this happened on Thursday or it happened on Wednesday. I can't remember when it happened, but
this happened. The actual incident happened Wednesday night. I don't think anybody heard about it until Thursday night.
Oh, well, yeah,
because it was found during the day Thursday.
This was Thursday. Yeah, but Eric posted this Thursday morning and updated it Thursday afternoon. So I think it had been known by some people early on.
Oh, it just didn't go viral until.
But unfortunately, but and we'll get to what Eric wrote, which I have screenshotted here for those that would want to know that. Unfortunately, a meteorologist in Bend, Oregon, Russell Bird, he was 27. Hate to probably put this, but he killed himself.
That's the best way to put it.
That sounds very blunt, but I don't want to say he passed away because he killed himself.
That's the best way to put it. We need to. I think the way we need to approach this, we need to speak of it as it is. As tragic as it is and as sad as it is,
that
we don't need to ignore especially in this kind of situation, we don't need to ignore, and we shouldn't ignore, the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
It should be out there for everybody to see and hear, not for so much the wow factor, but to see what can happen when somebody does not have support.
And
that is experiencing trouble. That is.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing that before I knew about it, because there was about a closed group of weather people on Facebook. Now, as some people would know, that there is such a thing, and they say, "Ooh, it's some secret thing." Yeah, it's a closed group, but as I'm not in this group, but I know of this group because Mike, who's in Tennessee, who used to be a co-host on this program, is part of that group. So, and he's the one who, unfortunately, for those that would be on, anything that you say about the show, I find out about. So, darn, I just got Mike in trouble. But anyway, anywho, so, but I knew about this group, so I'm not like blind as to they're keeping secrets. Well, I already knew about this group. But anyway, so there's this group. So there is people around. I think the problem with where Russell was, he's in Oregon. Well, he's not with us anymore, but he was in Oregon. He's from Cincinnati. Bend, Oregon, for those that wouldn't know who are not from that part of Oregon, it's in Central Oregon. It's in the middle of God nowhere. And it's a one-station market.
Correct.
The station that he worked at. Because all the other stations are satellites from stations in either Eugene or Portland.
Yep.
So there's nothing there. So it's not like a normal market where there's other meteorologists and other TV people like the Quad Cities or Cedar Rapids or Des Moines or Chicago, whatever, where there is at least a support group, unless it's Oklahoma City where everybody wants to get it, everybody call each other names. Anyway, so this is one strike. He was in a one-station market. 2, he's in the middle of nowhere. 3, he's so far from home. And the sad thing, and this really kind of made me kind of a little upset, was that he had no money and he sounded desperate. He just sounded like he was on his last thread when he sent the message that is in this article that Eric put on, and he sent that on Sunday, Sunday the 3rd, and we're doing this on Saturday the 9th, and he died on Wednesday the 6th. So, and he just, I've seen some of the work he's done. He went to school at Miami University in Ohio, and then went to Ohio State, where he had graduated only a year ago. And then he got his job in Oregon, and he's been there since June of last year. Correct. And he has another year left. So, but we'll see if it gets to this. So, right here, whoops, there we go. Right on my screen, if you can see it, is what Russell wrote in the group that Eric put in the thing. And it just sounds depressing given the fact that it's one of the last things he said. Yep. So it's depressing in this that, and I don't know where we want to go with this. The thing that kind of upsets me is that, and this is the case for all small market television stations and even in some medium-sized television markets, that, and I'm probably gonna go political now, so bear with me. I'm gonna get political, and I don't know if you're still listening or not.
I am. I'm here.
Okay. That the problem I'm seeing, and I think Eric made mention of, is that it seems to be that TV people are getting and are going to be getting less money a year than some teenager working at McDonald's. That is not right. That seems very stupid. And there's all these people, this is where it's going to get political, that complain, well, I needed $15 an hour, blah, blah, blah. Well, then why should you people at McDonald's and Burger King make more money than a TV meteorologist or anybody in television that's coming out of college when they have student loans to pay? And you dumb bitch fuckers, and I just said a swear word, so sorry for those people that are children that could be listening, but you probably know swear words anyway, probably don't have college education and don't have loans and student debt and all that crud. So, so I just killed off all our viewers. So X-rated.
I think, you know what? A lot of people might not agree with us, but I agree with everything you said. But I don't think that was so much the case.
It wasn't.
And this is where things with me get really mixed up. I have dealt with this myself personally.
They feeling this type of issue, depressed type thing,
suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting deep for me. Okay. I have dealt with this myself. I have dealt with it with the best of my friends. This is something that has been around me for a while. Yes, most of it is around military service. And I think rightfully so, because I think some of us military people probably see the worst that this world has to offer.
Yeah.
The saddest thing to me is that about this situation was that I've had a chance to see a little bit of his video since I heard about this. I don't go out of my excuse me. I don't go out of my way to look up everybody's air check tapes in random markets. I don't go that deep into it because, to be bluntly honest, I'm not that big into TV people. I follow some, like James Spann, because he's my hero. He's been my hero for a decade before April 27th, so it has nothing to do with that. I'm not a fair weather fan of him. But anyways, what I mean by what I just said is that he had a certain zeal for TV weather. He had a certain spark, a certain intangible quality about him that you don't see very much. He knew the science, obviously. It was still fresh in his head. He just left college. He knew the science really well, and he knew how to communicate. He knew how to talk and be in front of a camera. The saddest part was that, and I'm still trying to come to grip with this thought, but what I think the saddest thing is that it didn't seem like not a lot of people reached out to him.
You know.
Or if they did, he didn't listen. Now, I'm not saying any of this is his fault or anybody else's fault, but what I am saying is it's somebody's fault. And I think it's a combination of those things, a really bad combination of those things that ends up with what we have here, what we have in front of us. And that's not me trying to sling mud, because believe me, I'm the wrong person to be slinging mud to TV meteorologist. I've never been up on that green wall.
Yeah.
I have never even set foot in a meteorology classroom. So in that aspect, I have no legs to stand on. But where I do have a leg to stand on is dealing with situations like this.
Yeah.
Where you have just a person, regardless of profession, who is having trouble with their life and they're thinking about hurting themselves. I've been to way too many funerals where people have done this. Excuse me. And there had to have been a turning point where he said enough is enough. And he just wanted the pain to end.
Yeah.
And that is where somebody should have reached out, because he wouldn't have kept that to himself. And I've seen this with experience. That wouldn't have been, that is not something that I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that this is what happened with this person. What I'm saying is that this person, or people that I've seen that go through this type of thing, they usually advertise it somehow. I think there were other things that happened after this Facebook post that we're looking at here happened, and somebody didn't listen. And that's my ultimate point. Somebody didn't listen.
Yeah.
And now they have to live here's what I'm really trying to say. Somebody saw whatever communication that is and chose not to do anything. And it ultimately cost somebody their life. And that needs to stop. If you see somebody that is making communications, regardless of form, regardless of platform, whether it's a phone call, a text message, a Facebook post, a tweet, an email, doesn't matter. A Google Plus post does not matter. If you see the red flags, and this post that we're looking at here on the screen share is a blatant red flag. If you see anything like this, you need to reach out if you have the ability to. I'm not saying move mountains to try and reach out to someone if you don't know them, because more than likely you might wind up doing more harm than good if you don't know the person and try to reach out anyways.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that if you have the means and you know the person, don't hesitate, because sometimes you just don't know what they're going through in their own mind.
Yeah.
Now that's a slippery slope. That's a very slippery slope.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what looks like a red flag really isn't. They're just having a down day. But that's not your job to decide. Because all it takes is a simple, hey, I love you, brother. What's going on, man? What's up? Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, man? Hey, do you want to go get a beer real quick? Let's go. That's all it takes. It's easy, especially as connected as we are today. This is 2016. If I want to go, and I'm going cable guy on you, if you want to play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam, it takes probably 2 or 3 pushes of a button, and you're doing that. You're playing Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. If it's that easy to play a video game, then why is it so difficult for somebody to reach out and say, hey, what's up, dude? I love you. Just wanted to let you know I'm here. I got your back.
Yeah, and when you look at this article, that a lot of people had sent stuff, according to Eric, that he and 35 others did send him stuff, and he did respond back, which I don't have on the screen yet, what Russell wrote after. And that, I don't know, when you look at this, which I'm pointing at right here, and then what I'm going to put down right here, this is probably, this, what I have highlighted right now is what Russell had or said after the encouraging words.
Mm-hmm.
And if that first thing wasn't a red flag, it sounds like the second one is even worse.
I agree. I tried to allude to that in my little spiel. I don't know how good of a job I did.
Yeah,
Because
I know what you're trying for.
I had a lot of thoughts going through my head when I was saying all that. Believe me, I was having flashbacks to funerals and to seeing people. That was not something that's easily done. I'm here to tell you, it's not something to easily talk about. It's very difficult, but it has to be. This issue of suicide cannot be a taboo anymore. It needs to be blown out there. not in the context of like snuff videos or whatever, but I'm saying in the context of awareness and seeing, and I guess awareness and education, seeing what the red flags are, seeing what's going on with people, and knowing who your friends are, paying attention to who your friends are and how they are and how they act.
And what probably makes this more difficult was the fact that he had only been in the broadcast industry less than a year. So he was not really that well known by colleagues yet, outside of people, as he opens the door, outside of people that had gone to Ohio State or had been alumni of Ohio State.
And also, he probably wasn't that well adjusted to a TV meteorologist's life.
Well, he had done interning, so he knew what he was in for. But this is where I think we have the problem, that he's from Cincinnati. He interned in Ohio.
Correct.
He was in Oregon. There's a difference between Ohio and Oregon.
He's far away from home.
Yeah, and it brings me to the point of, and this is kind of, so don't take it kind of strange, it would be almost similar to people or military personnel being deployed.
Yep, very much so. It doesn't seem like it, but there are a lot of similarities between TV meteorologists and, I will venture as far as to say, National Weather Service people, because you move around a lot when you're in the National Weather Service. You know, you'll spend 2 years in Fort Worth and then spend 2 years over in Birmingham, Alabama, and then you'll move to Bangor, Maine, and then maybe Des Moines, Iowa, and then you'll find, maybe a WCM position in Topeka, Kansas, and you'll stay there for 8 years.
Yeah.
And that's where you get settled in. It's extremely similar in active duty military. Now, granted, I was in the National Guard for my entire career, so I didn't have the exact same results. Results may vary, but I know the military world very, very, very well. Usually, when you're a buck sergeant like I was, you move around about every 2 years. You change bases about every 2 years, about the same as a TV meteorologist or a National Weather Service official. You move around about every 2 years. And being away from home, regardless of where you're at, is extremely difficult. And it's more difficult than people lead off. The best example of that is when I was deployed to Egypt. Granted, My deployment to Egypt was a year-long vacation away from my wife, and it sucked. It sucked because she wasn't with me. My family wasn't with me. I wasn't able to go and get in my truck and drive 62 miles to my grandma's house.
No.
If I wanted to go to my grandma's house, I had to get on three planes for a total of about 27 hours. And then I might be able to get to my grandma's house. Maybe, if I could find a car. And that was a very easy deployment. I got to go see the pyramids. I got to go to Israel and see the site where Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River. You know, very, very, very cool things. Once in a lifetime type of opportunities. It was still extremely difficult because the people who I wanted to share it with the most weren't there for me to share it with. And that's extremely difficult, especially when you're a young person who's not married, who doesn't have roots put down somewhere, who doesn't have any real friends, and that's part of the whole putting roots down thing. You don't have really close friends. You might have some acquaintances that you might, go have a beer with every once in a while, but you don't have those really close friends, who I call your brothers or your sisters, your really close friends and things like that. And that can wear on you over time. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay. So, but that was what I was thinking about because when a person comes out of college, their good choice would be to be if they're going to be in broadcasting, is they want to be close to home.
Correct.
But that's almost like saying you're in the military and you want to be at a base close to home. For example, if you were like in military training in the Army and you wanted to be at a base fairly close to home where you'd be able to go home when you can without having to hop a plane or drive for hours and hours and hours. You know what I'm getting at? Similar to what you were mentioning.
Correct.
And the same thing happens in broadcasting, especially, and this is not just weather people, this is everybody. The chances of you getting a job close to home is probably about 1 in 4. Now, at least in our market, in this market, quite a few people in this market are close to home. Quite a few of them are.
Correct.
I know, for example, that Channel 7 just got a new meteorologist, and she's a Penn State grad. Rachel, what's her name? But anyway, and she just came, so she's far from home.
But look at Mark Schnackenberg.
Well, Schnackenberg's from New Jersey.
Exactly.
He has, though, put down roots, and he's here now. He has now been here for 20 years.
Correct.
And Channel 7 was Schnackenberg's first job.
Yep.
And he
loved it, and he stayed.
And that's the case for a lot of people in this market. They come here and they stay. Now, some go, but most have stayed, or at least stayed for quite a period of time. They're not come and go. And I think in the case with small market television, they don't pay enough money. I don't care, going back to when I decided to swear like a sailor, that they're making less money than a McDonald's person, which in hindsight, in some cases, they might be, that you can't live in small market television and expect to not get depressed about money, because the financial problem is, and Eric mentioned it in the thing that I had on earlier, that it's becoming very difficult when you can't be able to pay for anything. And if you're far from home, that you don't have a support system.
You're too far away from help.
Yeah, financially or emotionally or any support type system.
Yeah.
And we bring back to the point that Bend, Oregon is a one-station market. So he only had his colleagues. And if his colleagues, which many of them are young, there's a few older people, that if they aren't aware of the signs that something's up, then they're not going to notice anything. Because and this brings me to a point that I fear that this is probably I'm getting off, is that at work he's another person and away from work he is a different person. It's almost like a bipolar situation. You lead your life at work and you have another life at home.
Could be.
And it's whether or not the life at home oozes into the life at work to raise the red flags for work colleagues that aren't aware of what darkness or storminess, I'll put in weather terms, is going on in his life personally. If the work colleagues don't know what's going on, then they can't help. And he then sent stuff to colleagues in the field of meteorology. And we bring back up that the again that, and I'll bring it back up. Oopsie. That we bring this back up here. I'm far from home. Well, we already knew that. And like everyone else, I don't have any money. Well, it's hard to make friends. This is this line right here. Right here. It's hard to make friends. That's what kind of made me feel a bit sad for this poor man. Did he have a problem doing that to begin with? And should there have been signs warning about that before, when in a station such as KTVZ, which is where he worked in Bend, Oregon, it's a one-station market. There isn't many TV people there unless he went to surrounding markets like Eugene or Portland or even Boise.
There weren't lots of like-minded people.
Yeah. So.
And that's very true. And that brings up another point that I want to make. You know, this whole topic of suicide, it's a two-way street. And I don't want to pull any punches, but at the same time, I don't want to sound like I'm being an ignorant douchebag. So pay attention very closely. There has to be a modicum of strength involved if you find yourself thinking these thoughts, thinking you need to hurt yourself or you need to not be on this earth anymore. I'm not saying man up and suck it up and, and charge on. That isn't what this is. That's not strength. That's actually weakness in my mind. If you are feeling these things and you're honestly thinking about them, like seriously considering them, the strongest thing you can do, the biggest show of strength you can have, is to just go somewhere and ask for help. It doesn't matter if you are a socially inept person. It doesn't matter if you're the social butterfly. This is regardless of how you are in public, how you are in private. If you are really seriously considering these things, the first step is reaching out to somebody. And I know for a fact, in most cities that are more than, and I'm going to throw a number out there, more than a population of 5,000, which I know Bend has much more than that. There are hotlines you can call. There are places you can go where if you're in a state of crisis, you can go there and immediately get someone in front of you that you can talk to. And you can get to the first step. You can get in front of somebody and at least get it out there. Hey, I'm having these thoughts. I'm going through a tough time. It's not an easy thing. Because granted, TV weather is not easy, no matter where you're at. Yeah. Weather, period, is not easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard the analogy up and down that getting a bachelor's in meteorology is a lot like getting a master's in most other subject fields. That says something. That means it's not exactly easy. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It's the same thing with being a soldier. Not everybody is cut out to be a soldier. Not everybody is cut out to be a meteorologist. And even further than that, not everybody is cut out to be a TV meteorologist. It's difficult, but you don't really need a like-minded person to open up. When you're at that point, when you're so far along in this process where you're seriously considering it, the best thing you can do for yourself is get in front of somebody. Get in front of somebody. There are people out there online that will help you find a place to go talk to a counselor, or just somebody that you can have a burger with and you can just talk about it in a very casual setting. You can do it however you want. That's my point. You can do it however you want. Make sure that you do it. And that's where you need strength. You need to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. I'm in a process here, or I think I'm in a process. I think I might need some help, and I think I might need to do it. I think I might need to get the process started myself. And I probably just opened up a whole bag of worms, and I might be the world's worst weather fan or weather enthusiast come tomorrow morning. And I don't care. I've been to too many funerals. I've been through this enough to know that it starts with that person. Granted, it's really nice to have a support group around you, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. And if you're in a place where you don't have that support group around you, you need to seek it out yourself. Granted, you don't need to have, a bunch of friends that you go to the bars with every weekend. You don't need that. You just need to be able to find somebody.
Yeah.
And most cities have professionals that are trained. They know how to do this. They do this type of thing for a living. They're very good at it. That's why they get paid to do it, because they're good at it. And their only reason why they're there is to help you. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. It's not a pleasant topic, and
No, you're right. It sucks. It absolutely sucks.
I honestly think that, and this doesn't just go for this goes for people going through after severe weather events. For example, like April 27th, 2011. You read the book. I could go back to Kim Cross's book that I talked about back on episode 100.
Yes.
Where Span cries to his wife. And everybody's crying, everybody's crying. You're not going to see that on television. That's the private life, which unfortunately is now public because it's now in a book. But it's the same case for not just starting out. It could be for anything that could occur. Some event, severe weather, big tornadoes, kill people, everything. Ooh, excuse me. You could have like a news event that could get anybody. For example, like 9/11. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It brings me back to, and I'm kind of getting back to the point, that young people think, well, I can be on television, blah, blah, blah. Look at me. They need to know, and I have a feeling, I don't think they know what they're getting themselves into, because they're like, well, I'll be on TV, and how Span loves to get on this about, all you need is coiffed hair, and you need to look good. Well, you need to know, and Span on a number of times talks about, oh, you need to be like 24/7, blah, 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 blah. What I'm going with. You're going to be needed 24/7. You also need to know that it is not going to be what you expect, especially for the fact that in at least 70 to 75% of the time, you are going to end up in a place that is nowhere near where you were or were from.
Or want to be.
Or want to be. It's not going to be pleasant. You are not going to get paid a lot of money. You're probably more than likely going to live in an apartment. And you may even have to have a roommate, which would be kind of really strange. It's not going to be a pleasant experience. And that could be for your first 2 years. And then you may even get to a market that you'll get paid a little bit more. And you're not going to get totally settled for possibly years. And even then, are you going to be in the right place, the right mind? You need to be not only have the science right, and you need to be around 24/7, you need to be in the right mindset that this is going to be different. You are likely going to be alone. You're going to need a support system. And this is where I think the weather community needs to start getting itself together, because there's that 1,300 people group. Okay, now this is where I'm going to get on the weather people, which is probably going to kill me from having any people on the show again. There's too many people struggling, not just emotionally, but financially. Why aren't the people that actually have some money trying to like bring in a support group where it can help people, that maybe they can get like a system where they can be paying? Because in honest to God, if somebody needs help and it costs money, people are not going to get it. There is free stuff, but then it feels like if you feel like, well, I don't want to get stuff, I don't want to be a freeloader. Well, there should be like a system where people can help, like a support system for meteorologists, and it doesn't need to be just TV people. Why isn't there such a thing, especially when a lot of people in the industry are not getting paid the amount of money they should be? And honest to God, they can't be, because the TV stations aren't making enough money, because even though they're charging hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars per whatever to get their retransmission fees, most of that money is going to the big wigs. It's not going to the TV people that work there. They could say it is. It's not. It's going to the TV bigwigs. So I went off on that. So, but
well, there is such a thing as employee assistance systems, EASs, or EAPs, employee assistance programs. And I worked for an employer here that had a very good one of those, and I utilized it when I was employed there. And those are absolutely free. They don't cost you 1 red cent. And they're completely, most of the time, and I say most of the time, they're completely confidential, but they will stay confidential unless there's some other extenuating circumstance that requires it to not be confidential. In that case, you will be notified up front, and this is by federal law. This has to be, the person given the services has to be notified up front that this will be shared with some person.
yeah.
And most of the time, if you're in that extenuating circumstance, you already know it anyways going into it. So it's kind of a no-brainer. But those are there, and there are similar programs available to just any person. If just a person, regardless of where they come from, what they're doing, they're not oriented towards any one specific demographic. They're just general support programs out there. Most cities have them, and most of them have nationwide hotlines you can call, where you can just call and talk to somebody. And those are also free and completely confidential. Most of the time, all they will ask for is your name. And they'll only ask for your name so they know who to address you as. Instead of saying, okay, sir, they'll say, okay, Matt, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? Hey, Matt, what's going on with that? Otherwise, they take no information from you. And if they do, they keep it to themselves. And that's it. Period. Dot blank.
Yeah.
They work very hard to keep what you're going through an absolute secret between you and whoever's on the other end of the phone or the chat session.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get to those people. All you have to do is look them up.
Yeah. So this was depressing enough.
This is, but it needs to be addressed because,
Yeah.
frankly, I hate the fact that we are so smart and so capable. We as human beings are so smart and so capable of doing so many things. I mean, look, SpaceX just landed a rocket onto a floating dock in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how far we've come. We have self-driving cars. We have self-flying aircraft. All these things. And yet we have this thing in the back of our minds where if things get too hard, we permanently solve the situation, if you know what I mean.
In what I would consider in a destructive way.
Yes. I really do believe, and there are not many people that agree with me, and I really don't care, but I think that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that's the biggest thing, is it's only temporary. Whatever situation you're in, if you're a TV meteorologist and you're going through this and you're hearing this, it's temporary. Believe me, the things you go through, no matter what they are always temporary.
Yeah. Because things, like Eric said, things will get better. I had the analogy which I was going to use, but I'm not going to go through it because I don't want to take an hour and a half trying to do this. But it's almost like it's a bright sunny day, and then a thunderstorm comes, and this dark period that I think that Russell was in was the thunderstorm.
I agree.
And he decided, oh, I'm not going to wait for the thunderstorm. I'll just stop now. I'm just going to get off the life train or the life bus or whatever at this. I'll just get off here. Not realizing that the thunderstorm was not going to be lasting much longer. And he didn't want to wait for the thunderstorm to end. He wanted to get off now, regardless of, and it's a weather analogy. It's a weather show. But that I figure it is that in your darkest hours, it's like a thunderstorm rumbling through, and no matter how severe the storm is, now this is where the analogy gets good. No matter how severe the storm gets, the sky always clears afterward.
Very well put. I like that.
Even though, and here's where when you talk about a permanent solution to a temporary problem, meaning suicide, it would be like saying this. A tornado comes and it decides it kills you. Well, the tornado is the suicide. Okay? You got me right now?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm following.
The tornado comes and goes. A tornado is not on the ground 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not the same one. It comes, it goes. It's like a thunderstorm. It comes up, it dies down. You could have severe storms. It's all dependent on the problem. Is it a severe one? Do you need help? For example, it's like you need a weather radio for like alerting yourself to, okay, this is the problem. My analogies are getting good at this. That
I'm really liking these. Really,
like
really.
warnings. You need to help. Warnings. Bad stuff's coming. Like it's like your support system. For example, I could easily say what Russell said on Sunday was the warning, and he was alerting. It's like the weather radio going off, alerting you. But maybe all the encouraging things he was trying to get back was like his warning, and he wasn't listening, or it wasn't coming through, kind of similar to like static, that his mind may have been set on the path to get off the bus of life or train. You know what I mean?
Or maybe it was broadcast as a warning, as a tornado warning, and maybe it was in reality a tornado emergency.
Like almost like a misread statement thing.
Yeah.
I'm coming up with good analogies. I need to write these down. So
no, you really need to. You really need to. Like, really. I could use them.
So, but I don't know. It's kind of sad because I didn't. I'll say this for the fact that I didn't email him. 500,000 people I've emailed, and he wasn't one of them. So, does that make me a bad person? No. I can't email every single person in the television industry. Oh my God! For one thing, I know who I can't email. So, it's kind of just sad. We spent an hour. Well, wait a minute, probably 40 minutes on this. 40 good minutes for this. So
I could spend probably another 40 hours on this, but that's just me. I have a pretty unique set of life experiences.
Yeah.
Like I said, results may vary.
Yeah. So outside of that, nothing else happened.
Actually, there was something else that happened.
Oh, what happened?
The video from the Fairdale,
Fairdale,
Illinois tornado came out.
Oh, if we want to get on
video.
that. Oh, good night. Stop. Oh, we got to stop this. Okay, we're going to connect this now.
What did I open up?
The guy took video.
What words did I open up?
Okay, the guy took video of the tornado.
Correct.
I have not watched this video because I think the guy's an idiot. Even though his idiocy cost him his wife. So, and
in hindsight, though, he does realize this.
Yes.
So you're not just calling him an idiot for the sake of calling him an idiot.
I'm calling him what he did idiotic.
Yes, exactly.
And he paid the price for his idiocy.
And I think he realizes it now, and I think that's why he put it out there now.
Instead of going, "Ooh, look at me, I made money," and he's not like a young whippersnapper.
He's 65, I think, is what I read. 65. Does that sound right?
He's not. He. I wouldn't call him an old fart, but he's an older gentleman, a well-regarded older gentleman. Anyway. So the first thing that made me think of this, I did not watch this video, so I have seen
this video.
I hope
to never see it again.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. The first thing that made me when I saw this pop up this week, I'm thinking of the man in Fritch, Texas. You
and me both.
Yeah, you know the guy I'm talking about. It's on these videos where the
guy that got struck by lightning and kept filming.
It gets worse. He gets struck by lightning and he said bleep, meaning HE double hockey sticks. He said, bleep, I got struck. It gets worse. He gets struck by lightning. Then a tornado comes, hits his house. He keeps filming during that. I'm thinking he lived. Supposedly, the man is still alive today. Supposedly. Put that in quotes. That was as of a couple years ago. Because several people, that video's on YouTube, several people commented that they knew who the person was. They knew the person personally. which is kind of
Really?
creepy. Rich Texas ain't tiny. It's not no small or not no big Dallas type town. It only
There's
has
one very well-known person that is from that town.
what, Fritch?
Yeah, from Fritz, Texas.
And
Ron White,
yeah,
the stand-up comedian.
yeah.
He's from Fritz, Texas.
It wasn't him. So,
Right, correct. But he is from that very, very small Texas town, which
yeah,
I've driven through, by the way. It is very, very small.
yeah. So, but anyway, that's what made me think of it, because all the other type tornado videos that I've seen where the somebody took a video of it coming right at them have been killed. Several times. Some other times it wasn't, but it just,
I'll put it to you this way. This video it shows everything but the really graphic stuff.
yeah,
The camera, almost like the Fritz video, never stops running. But obviously when the tornado vortex actually impacts the man's house, of course, everything gets really blurry and stuff and really chaotic looking. But it doesn't show him. You never see him. You never see his wife or his wife's body or anything like that. So it's not like snuff film graphic, but just seeing it with a trained eye, like any weather person out there would be, any weather enthusiast or meteorologist or whoever it is, um, seeing it in its obscenity, I'll call it. It's very unnerving. And I don't want to see that video again because of just how unnerving it is, because this is a violent tornado.
yeah,
And up until the tornadoes in Dallas last year was the most violent tornado in the country.
yeah,
Up until right before the year ended. I
yeah,
mean, this was a red letter severe weather day in the U.S. of 2015. And I think that just kind of adds to it. It's just the fact that this is, you know, a red letter, severe weather event in the middle of a red letter tornado event. And here he is filming this thing and making the conscious decision not to go anywhere, to keep filming, in essence. I think just makes it all that more unnerving. I don't want to say obscene, but that's the word that comes to mind, just because of just how, I mean, you get the feeling, even though you can't really hear a lot of words being spoken. At least I couldn't anyway.
yeah,
You just kind of got the feeling that's like, oh man, oh, here it comes. Oh no, here it comes. Like, you just get that. It comes through. And I don't know why. I'm not a big photography guy. I don't get that, but you really get that feeling with this video. It's really unnerving.
yeah. So,
But I really hope that I really hope, as excuse me, as bad as that video is to watch, as hard as it is to watch, I hope it goes everywhere. I hope that winds up in second grade classrooms in 5 years,
yeah,
because I want people to see just how dangerous these things are. I mean, you and me can sit and talk about tornadoes all day, and we can get all giddy, and start giggling like schoolgirls looking at tornado pictures and tornado video. But that's a different animal. The tornadoes that we like to see are ones that are out in the middle of nowhere. The biggest thing that they're harming is an ant, and there's nothing higher than a fence post within 30 miles of where the video is being shot from. And nobody's property is getting tore up. Nobody's getting hurt. The worst thing that's happening to any human being in the area is the person that's shooting the film is getting wet, and maybe their car is getting dented a little from the hail. That's where people like you and me get excited. It completely turns around when we see that same tornado head for that person's house down the street or something like that. It's a different feeling. I'm sure you've seen it yourself, and I've seen it too. It's a different thing. It just sucks the air out of you, I would say.
I've been maybe fortunate enough. I've never seen a tornado.
Really?
However, this is what creeps me out, and we're gonna go off on a tangent again. I've had dreams that are almost like they're real, but they're not.
Okay.
Where I've actually witnessed in a dream a wedge tornado going through the town I live in, Anamosa. I don't know why, but it seems so real. You can see all the buildings, you feel the air, you can smell it. It is you. That's what's creepy. That maybe I have vivid dreams. This is probably why I have a good creative mind that I can do creative writing. But anyway,
You're a lucid dreamer. That's an actual thing. You're a lucid dreamer.
Well, good for me. I don't remember what I dreamt about last night. But anyway, so.
But some of your dreams are recurring, and they're so detailed that you can describe the smell of the air. You can describe each building
I can
that you're
describe
looking
where
at.
it was. I'm looking northwest, and I see a wedge tornado, and I can see the wall cloud. I can see stuff. And the thing is, you
You're
see
looking
stuff.
northwest. You're chasing, aren't you?
Why would I? Because I would be looking northwest because I live on the east side of town.
Oh,
So,
okay.
of course, I'd be looking northwest here. So,
I
anyway.
didn't know you lived on the east side of town. All right, that explains a lot. So you're just kind of parked out on your porch.
Well, here's the funny thing, because I can look out my window in my apartment building, and my window faces southwest.
Okay.
I get a lovely view of my parking lot. But anyway, so I would be turning to looking west. I could turn and look west, and northwest I would have to go outside.
Right.
About 2 years ago, there was a wall cloud that went west of town, and I saw it. I took a picture of it. It's not very good. Henry had to enhance it just so you could see it because it was kind of shielded with rain. It was rain wrapped.
Okay.
I could see it. A picture couldn't see it.
I assume it was a rotating wall cloud, if I remember the event correctly.
It was a rotating wall cloud. It had produced a tornado earlier near Mount Vernon, but it wasn't then.
That was the Highway 30 tornado, correct?
It was north of Mount Vernon.
Right. It was. I think that started somewhere near Solon, though. Like the first touchdown happened near Solon, then it moved
something
northeast.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they issued a tornado warning. So what does everybody in my building do? Tornado warning gets issued. Let's go outside. Let's take video. People are taking video and taking pictures. This is how bad. If there was ever a tornado that comes through this town, it would probably kill 100 people because everybody gets outside and looks for it. That's what's sad. But anyway.
I'm going to go off on a little tangent.
Oh, goody.
With that. Most frightening thing I've ever seen storm chasing was November 17th, 2013.
Uh-oh.
That was the Peoria area tornado.
Yep.
I forget the little town, but it was just northeast of Peoria.
Washington.
Correct. There you go. Thank you. I was on that cell for about 45 minutes to an hour-ish. I'll call it ish. I first got on it in just southwest of the town of Maison.
Okay.
Which was directly called out in the tornado warning that was issued after the warning that was issued for Washington. So there was the Washington warning, and then it went through. The next tornado warning in that succession was it directly called out Maison. Well, I had to do a core punch to get to it because I was coming at it from the north on Interstate 80.
Yeah.
Which I felt pretty comfortable doing because there wasn't a lot of hail. And the hail that was there was pretty small at that time. I could see on the Ville that there was hail, but it wasn't very big. It didn't scream at me, baseballs, so I was okay with it. And I knew where the circulation was in relation to where I was. I felt fairly comfortable enough to do it. Mind you, I will never do that again. just because things are chaotic. It's a supercell. Things can change. But anyways, I come up to the town of Mazon, right? Debris is falling from the sky, debris from Washington. And the distance from Washington to Mazon, if memory serves, is about 40 miles or 50 miles as the crow flies. And there's debris falling from the sky from Washington. You know, there's little pieces of roof shingles and stuff like that, the typical stuff you see, you know, falling out of the sky in big tornadoes.
Yeah.
And the two blocks that I see, that I look at, that I can see the clearest, I'll say, because I'm parked at a gas station, which was right on the south side of town. I'm parked at a gas station, just kind of looking. You know, I just took a quick pause just to look. I had just gotten out of the rain of the core. I was on the very northern edge of the notch. You know, and I just wanted to take 60 seconds and just take a look, see what was going on, to see if I needed to go further south or if I needed to head back north to get away from the tornado. The people in the gas station were doing the right thing. As I was pulling in, I saw buttholes and elbows moving towards the back of the store to the bathrooms. Good call. I turn around to look across the street, which was west and southwest, because one street was directly to my west, and the other one was to my southwest. Every person on that street was outside on their back porch, and every house on that, I could take you on Google Maps right to that place, and every house had a back porch, and at least 3 people were on each back porch on those 2 streets. The most unnerving thing I've ever seen while on a storm chase. And what happens? I look down at my phone. I see a tornado warning come up. You know, the EAS tornado warning comes through on my phone. I look down, I look at it, I go into radar scope, I pull up the warning on radar scope, and in the body of the warning, it specifically calls out Mazon. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Some people are going to die today. So I moved north because I figured I'm going to be involved in a search and rescue. Thankfully, the tornado lifted, but that is got to be, I can't imagine what those people were thinking. Excuse me. Knowing, and I'm kind of assuming that they knew that that tornado had just hit Washington. It was all over the news and it was all over social media by the time that I started chasing that storm.
Yeah.
I mean, my Twitter was already blowing up. Friends were calling me and stuff like that. Family members were calling me because I have a cousin who lives in Peoria, not far from where the tornado initially touched down. So I had friends and family call me up. Hey, is he okay? Is he all right? I'm not going to name his name. Is he okay? Is he all right? You know? And he graduated from Bradley University, right down the road from where this tornado touched down at. So they had to have known, or I'm assuming that they known that this was a violent tornado that was reasonably wrapped in rain, not easily seen. And this is central Illinois. Granted, some parts of central Illinois you can see forever. It's like you're in Kansas in some parts, but in other parts, when you get in those little river valleys and stuff like that and creek beds, it gets pretty hilly. It gets pretty hard to see, and there's a lot of trees out there, just like there is here in Iowa.
Yeah.
It would not be difficult in that area to lose yourself in a storm and find yourself right up next to a tornado.
Yeah.
Very, very, very unnerving thing. But that's all I have to say about that.
So more depression.
No, that wasn't depression. That was just
stupidity.
Very, a very unnerving thing to see when you see a storm that has a history of producing violent tornadoes, and the warning that comes out on, and the next warning that comes out on that storm directly calls out the town that you're sitting in.
Yeah. So outside of that and the thing, nothing else happened.
Yeah, other than that.
Other than that, everything's been hunky-dory. So outside of that, when we look ahead to more cheerful episodes, I don't know, because nobody's responding back to when they want to do said shows. So I don't know.
Are you talking about the April 27th?
Well, I'm talking about them all the people that have responded back, and then I sent them stuff, and then they don't respond back. So I don't know. So we're up in the air. So throw your arms up. I don't know. But anyway. So we'll see what we can do for next week or whatnot. If we have to start yelling at people,
I'm not afraid to do that.
Just given that I swore at 60,000 people during this show, so I'll apologize again. I already apologized on Twitter, but anyway. So outside of that, I don't have anything else.
I do not either. I've said my piece.
Yeah, I'm drained out. Everything, the plug has been pulled. Everything is drained out. It's all over. Done, dusted, finished, the end. Now I just wish my toe would be healed and we'd be better, but it hasn't done that yet. So,
and just the same, my finger as well.
Yeah. So anyway, for Matt, myself, that's it. No more show. The end. We'll see you next week. We think. We hope. Friday, Saturday. We're not sure. Depends on how we feel. What the weather's like. Maybe it'll be warmer.
The forecast is calling for much warmer air at the end of next week, so hopefully
that would be like 50.
Hopefully, I'll be able to bring to assist in this podcast from my front porch.
He'll do it from his grill. So
probably.
So we'll see you next week. We hope to have a guest. Don't count on it. But anyway, sayonara, goodbye, so long, farewell, whatever.
And be safe and talk to somebody.
Yeah, be safe. Talk to people. There's the thing. It's called Twitter. It's called Facebook. Use it. And call some people. Get some people. Get a support group. There needs to be more support groups. Anyway, I'll get off on more tangents. But anyway, goodbye. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching. And I still apologize for swearing. And Matthew apologizes for me swearing too.
Yes, I do.
Yes, goodbye.